We're back on the SportsMax Zone previewing Sunday's big FIFA World Cup final in Qatar at the Lusail Stadium. And it brings together two teams that have won the title twice already. And the two leading scorers in the tournament at the moment, Kylian Mbappe and Lionel Messi, will be on opposite ends of the field. We still have Simon Evans, who watched both semi-finals live from ringside to assess what is likely to happen. Stories emerging in the last 24 hours, Simon, about illness in the French camp, a virus affecting up to 4 or 5 players. 4 of them missed training today. How much would we read into this?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was colds or illnesses of that nature that kept 2 players out of the semi-final for France. So we should take it seriously, yeah. I mean, both Rabiot, who's a key player, and Upamecano, the central defender, missed that semi-final through similar illnesses to what we have been described now. Now, those 2 could be back. Those 2 have recovered. And the word coming out of the French camp today was, well, the players involved, they're isolating, they're doing the right thing, they're staying in their room and they're taking their medication and so on. They should be fine. But there could be 1 or 2 players missing. It's certainly a disruptive factor to Didier Deschamps' preparation for this game.
And if he doesn't get the starting roster that he would have preferred, if he had all players healthy, fit and 100%, is it something that is a massive setback for Deschamps?
I mean, it really depends who we're talking about at the end of the day. But, you know, there's been question marks asked about the depth of this French squad. But so far, you know, they've responded pretty well. You know, like I said, Konate coming in for Upamecano in the central defence, disruptive factor. Konate came in and played very well. Now, admittedly, Morocco didn't have, you know, a full-on attacking threat like Lionel Messi. And Alvarez, but he did a good job. So they do have options there, but the options would, if all of these players, we're talking about 4 of them, if all of them were to miss out, then that certainly would stretch the squad.
Simon, as we talk about roster, we had a riveting discussion on the SportsMax Zone on Thursday afternoon about Karim Benzema and the story that he has recovered and is available to Deschamps to bring him back into the fold. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, as far as I understand, it hasn't actually happened, though, has it? I mean, I think he is technically would be available because of FIFA's rules. If those are the rules, you can go with it. But it would be an amazing story if that were to actually happen at the last minute, that Benzema is brought in and plays a decisive role. It was a big blow for them when he missed out, but Olivier Giroud has come in and has done really, really well. I mean, a massively underrated player during his time in England, Olivier Giroud, and he's proved that again.
Simon, I noticed during this tournament that the games that Argentina struggles in, well, in every game they've played, they've dominated segments, but then there are swathes of game where they look to be at the risk of being overrun. And it is in those games where the tempo is highest. For instance, I didn't think Croatia had a chance of beating them because of the pace at which Croatia plays the game. Because I said, if you're not going to play at high pace, Messi's energy is going to have a lot of energy over the course of the 90 minutes, and he'll just pick his moments and he'll cut you apart, and that's exactly what he did. Do you anticipate that the tempo of the game is something that Didier Deschamps is going to instruct his men? We have to keep a high tempo, because, of course, the Argentine players, man for man, aren't technically as gifted as the French. And you know that the technical players are best when the game is played at a high tempo, because you have to control under pressure, pass under pressure, run into space under pressure, all of that. Do you think that that would be something that would be central to the Deschamps game plan? Keep a high tempo. A high tempo gives us a better chance of winning.
Yeah, I think so. And also, there's a lack of pace throughout this Argentina team. So I think, you know, you look at the fullback areas, they've not really had a test like they're going to have against Dembele and Mbappe. You have to be fast. I mean, we all remember all that debate before England played France about Kyle Walker versus Mbappe, and Kyle Walker did an amazing job on him. Kyle Walker is one of the fastest right-backs in the world. So, you know, have Argentina got an answer to that? Is Molina fast enough to cope with that? We'll see. I'm perhaps a little bit doubtful about that one. On the other side as well, we forget how fast Dembele is. When you see him live, he's not that much slower than Mbappe, to be honest. He's lightning quick and very direct as well. So those wide areas where Argentina, in the last 2 games they played, were able to bring out the ball from the fullbacks and use their fullbacks in an attacking way because they didn't really have that kind of threat. The Croatian wide player like Perisic and Sean didn't get into those advanced areas and test them with pace, and it was the same with the Dutch as well. So that's going to be a really different factor to this game that Argentina are going to have to come up with an answer to.
Yeah, you know, one of the interesting things for me is looking at Rodrigo de Paul in the Argentina midfield, a crucial player for them. And he reminds me so much in what he does of Didier Deschamps in 1998. As Eric Cantona famously said, the piano carrier. And a piano is a heavy thing to carry. Yeah, he does the dirty work. And I'm saying, with all of the things that you have correctly pointed out as the, I don't want to say flaws, but limitations that Argentina has, and yet still they are here with at least a 50% chance of winning, it shows you the quality of the collective and the discipline and the resilience of the collective. And I think nobody exemplifies the resilience and discipline more than Rodrigo de Paul, even as Messi and Julian Alvarez epitomize something else, something more exciting. I think de Paul is central to the control that Argentina exerts when they have possession, and of course recycling the ball quickly to Messi so he can go and do his magic.
Yeah, I agree. Every team needs to have players like that. They need to have at least one player like that in the midfield. If you go back to Italy in 2006, you know, they had Gennaro Gattuso surrounded by brilliant technical players, but they needed that guy who went and got the ball, brought it, and carried it, as Cantona said, to the other one. And I think also that Argentine midfield has done really, really well. If we're looking to give them some credit as well, which we should do, of course, they've been set up to provide support to Lionel Messi. You can see that clearly. But as well as De Paul, I think Alexis McAllister has had an excellent tournament. I mean, people in England find it, you know, a little bit strange to see a guy who plays for Brighton and Hove Albion playing in the World Cup final, but absolutely deserves his place. Has done a really good job there in support. And that Argentine midfield has worked hard. There isn't a lot of flair. There isn't a Modric there or some sort of clever genius player behind Messi. Which is why, one of the reasons why it's helpful to them that he does now drop much deeper and play that number 10 role himself. But I agree, De Paul's done a great job in that role, and I think McAllister deserves a mention as well.
Yeah, you know, I look at this Argentina team and I compare it to the ones that Messi has turned out for at World Cups before, and there are no flying wingers in this selection. Hell, there aren't even any flying fullbacks in this Argentina team. There are no flair players outside of him. There's only one flair player in this team, and that's him. Angel Di Maria is on the wrong side of his career right now. And yet, the team is so strong. And I think that when you look at the qualities of France and the potential of the French players, you look at the quality of Argentina outside of Messi and the potential of the Argentine players accepting Messi, there's a temptation to downplay Argentina's chances. And it would be a fool's errand to do that, because they've not gotten here only because of Messi. They've gotten here because Otamendi has not had, and I hope you can join me in this, Simon, Otamendi has not been as shaky in this tournament as he has been in previous big tournaments. He hasn't been as error-prone for Argentina as he certainly was for Man City, and as he has been on occasion for Benfica. And so the Argentina team is deserving of the world of respect, notwithstanding the fact that the French seem to have a little bit extra.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you about Otamendi. In fact, it's been amazing. We were talking about this the other day, that you look at World Cups sometimes and you see, you're always looking for the next exciting young talent to come along, and it's increasingly difficult because we see so many players anyway in the Champions League and around the world. But sometimes these veteran players come back and remind us why they were good in the first place. And you see Otamendi, a classic case of that, using all his experience, very, very solid. None of those wild mistakes or misjudgments that he made so many times that really drove Pep Guardiola up the wall at Manchester City until he eventually got rid of him. But you see someone like Dejan Lovren, you know, who was Liverpool fans who used to be terrified if Lovren in his last season there had to fill in the central defence. And there he is in the semi-finals of the World Cup. Maybe made an error in the semi-final or two, but throughout the tournament, you know, looked very good. So yeah, I agree on that, on Otamendi. Argentina deserve a lot of credit for what they've done. I think the narrative there is that Messi has never done in his career what Diego Maradona did at Napoli and carried a team on his back. This narrative gets thrown out a lot, and people are saying, and now he's carrying a team on his back. There's a degree of truth to that. But I think what Scaloni, the coach of Argentina, has done is built a team designed to service Messi, but which is an effective unit as well. I think if they lost Messi, they'd become a team that was difficult to beat. I think they'd be much less of an attacking threat. But they've been set up to service Messi. If he's out there, they're going to be a solid side. They need it all to come together to beat France. Mbappe can have a bad game like he did, or an ineffective game like he had against England, and France have enough else in their side to go and win the game. I don't think Argentina have enough if Messi goes missing, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, and last question as time runs out on us, Simon. The tendency of Scaloni at points in games to pair Otamendi and Cristiano Romero with Lisandro Martinez, the Manchester United centre half. So at a point in every game, he has those three in the back. I think that's three levels of insurance, and it is clear that he fancies the chances of his backline keeping pressure off his outstanding goalkeeper, Emiliano Martinez, and you'd expect him to go to those three men in the center of his defense at some point against France on Sunday.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not always a defensive move to do that, because sometimes when he goes to that, it allows him to push the fullbacks much further forward and give them a width that they don't naturally have from their midfield, because they don't have these great wingers that we've seen Argentina have in the past. So I would certainly see that at some stage. I wouldn't be totally surprised if they played with those three central defenders and started with Martinez in there and went with it.
Absolutely so, because Lisandro Martinez can also play left back as well, so he could go up the field. It's fascinating. Simon, want to call it for us? France, Argentina Sunday?
I think France will just edge it in extra time, though. We might go all the way and have the full drama.
There you go. All right, that will be some way to end what has been a good tournament. Simon, we'll talk again. All the best to you.
All the best. Cheers.
Good. Simon Evans there, who spent a lot of time in Qatar. He's home now to watch the final, but he was busy up to the semifinals where he watched both those games, Croatia, Argentina, and France and Morocco.